Hello, welcome to the Argo course. My name is Mohammed and I'm very happy to be here again. In the previous session, we talked about applications. What is application? What is how to define an application using manifest and terraform, and how to work with applications. But in this time and in this session, in the fourth session, I want to talk about Argo CD projects. What is Argo CD project? What are the benefits of Argo CD project? And how to work with project. Okay. A useful feature of the project is that we can place one or more applications inside it and create a group. So we have a group of one or multiple applications. I mean project. When I'm talking about a group, I mean project. Therefore, consider the project as a container in which we place applications. So, is this the only benefit of project? Definitely not. Another useful feature of the project is restricting applications. Let's explain it deeper. Okay. The title is restricting applications using projects in 3 different ways. Very good. We want to restrict our applications in 3 different ways using projects. Projects, yes. The first one is using sourceRepos block. Let's imagine that we have a repository like this. This is the repository of our course. So let's imagine that we have this repository. I grab its HTTPS URL. Okay. Let's back here. For example, I want my application, for example, application 1. I want my application 1 uses this repository only. If this application uses another repository, it can't be deployed. So it's allowed to use this repository only. Okay? This is my whitelist. I can add another repositories here. If I use another repository, it can't be deployed. Okay. But I can reverse the meaning of this code. I can reverse the meaning of this code using exclamation mark. If I put this exclamation mark at the beginning of the code, it now means that I can't use this repository as the source of my application. If my application uses this repository, it can't be deployed. So the meaning of the code has been changed with this exclamation mark. I want to say that I don't want my application to use this repository, but I want my application to use all other repositories. Because of that, I add the second line, the second field, with star. this star means that I can use all repositories. It can't use this repository, but it can use all other repositories. These two lines are together. Let's talk about it again. I don't want to use this repository as the source of my application, but my application can use all other repositories. Okay, very good. The second way of restricting application is using destinations. In destination block, we have two different fields. The first one is namespace, and the second one is server. For example, I want to say that application 1 can be deployed in all namespaces and in all servers. Like this, in all namespaces and in all servers. This star means all. Okay. But I want to say that my application can be deployed in dev namespace only. Because of that, I type dev in namespace field. It means that my application can be deployed in dev namespace only. All other namespaces are not allowed to use the using. And this is true about servers. We can type like this, https://kubernetes.default.svc. Like this. Okay? So we can restrict our applications in destinations level. And this exclamation mark works here too. We can use this exclamation mark here also. Okay, very good. And the third way of restricting applications is using resources. Cluster resource whitelist and namespace resource whitelist. These two blocks have two different fields. The first field is group, and the second one is kind. Group and kind. For example, if my application has service and service accounts resources, it can't be deployed. So we are restricting our applications in resource level. But here, this is the whitelist. This is the whitelist of our resources. We put the resources, we put the cluster scoped resources here, and we put the namespace scoped resources here. If my resource is a namespace scoped resource, this is a true place. For example, a deployment is a namespace scoped resource. So I put this resource here. Its group is apps, and its kind is deployment. But what about cluster scoped resource? For example, namespace. Namespace is a cluster scoped resource in Kubernetes. Its group is v1, so it's not necessary to put it here. And its kind is namespace. So please attention to this. This is my whitelist. It means that my application can use namespace resource, but we are not allowed to use all other resources. We can use deployment as a namespace scoped resource, but we are not allowed to use all other resources. This is my whitelist. Okay? Very good. But if we have whitelist, you should know that we have blacklist too. So, for example, namespace. If we have namespace resource whitelist, we have blacklist 2. And I put this, copy the content and paste it here. Very good. Yeah. This is my blacklist. It means that I can't use this resource, but I can use all other resources. This is my blacklist. I'm allowed to use all other resources except this resource. Very good. So we are restricting our applications in resource level. Very good. Very good. As I mentioned in the previous session, each application must belong to a project. And by default, each application uses a project called default. I want to show you the default project of Argo CD. But before that, I want to switch my current namespace to Argo CD by using this command kubectl config set context current namespace equals Argo CD. Okay, we are now in Argo CD namespace by default. To prove this, when I type kubectl get pod without specifying namespace, we see all the pods related to Argo CD. Very good. If I type kubectl get app project, you see that we have a project called default. This is the default project of Argo CD. If we don't create a project, our application can use this default project as their project. I want to show you the manifest of this project. To do this, I type kubectl get app project default -o yaml. Or it's better to type kubectl edit. Yeah, it's better. As you can see here, we have a project with app project kind. Its kind is app project, and the kind of application is application, but the kind of project is app project. As you can see, the name of the project is default, and the namespace of this project is Argo CD. As I said earlier, we have 3 different restrictions: cluster resource or namespace resource, destinations, and also sourceRepos. As you can see, we have no restrictions in default project. It means that we can use all repositories, all destinations, and all resources for our application. So if an application uses this default project, it has no restrictions. Okay, this is the default project, but I want to create a new project, a custom project. Because of that, I copy the content of this project as our template to create a new project. I create a directory called V04 as the 4th session of this course. And let's go to this directory, and I create a file called project-1.yaml. Very good. I paste the content here and remove the unnecessary information like this. Very good. I change the name of this project to, for example, project-1. The namespace is good, Argo CD. First of all, I want to restrict this project in sourceRepos block. For the first example, I want to say that my application can use this repository only as its source. It can't use all other repositories as its source. Because of that, I copy the URL of our Git repository and I remove the star here and paste the content here. Very good. It means that I can use this Git repository for my application only as its source. It cannot use any other repositories. Very good. For now, I don't want to restrict this project in these 2 blocks. I mean destinations and resources. Very good. Let's save the file. Okay. And let's create our application. I use the application manifest from here. For example, I use this application. I copy the content and create an application. For example, app-1.yaml. For this example, I don't want Helm parameters. Because of that, I remove these multiple lines. Very good. I change the name of this application to app-1. The namespace of this application is default. I don't change this. The server is the default server. And as you can see here, this application is using default project. I want to change the default project to project-1. The path of our resource is here, and the repository that this application can use is this. And this is the target revision. This is main. So our application is using this repository as its source. Very good. I save this file. Let's apply our application, our project first. kubectl apply-f project1.yaml. The project created. When I type kubectl get project, get app project, as you can see, we now have two different projects. One is default and the second one is project-1. If I describe this project, kubectl describe project1 app project1. As you can see here, we are restricting this project in sourceRepos. And the application of this project can use this repository only as its source. Very good. And this is the manifest of our application, and please attention to this field that we are using project-1 for this application. And it's using this repository. This repository is in whitelist of project-1. Okay. I want to change the repository URL of this application to prove that my application will not be deployed if I change this repository and use another repository. This is in my whitelist, but I want to use another repository. I have a personal repository for this example. This is my personal repository. I want to use this. Applications, Elm, Nginx. Yeah. This is the path that I want to use. Very good. And this is the repository that I want to use. This is my personal repository. This is another repository. Very good. I copy the URL of this new repository as the source of my application. Another repository. Very good. Let's save this file and let's apply this application. kubectl apply-f app-1.yaml. Very good. My application created. Let's go to dashboard of Argo CD, localhost. Very good. The username is admin. But what about password? kubectl get secret. I copied encoded content and pasted here. pipe it to base 64 dash decode base, yeah, base I grab the password, the original password, and paste it here. Very good. This is the application that I deployed a minute ago, app-1. As you can see here, the app health is unknown, and we have one error. If I click on one error, or if I click on app condition, we have a message here. Please read this message. As you can see here, it's saying that application repo https, this repository, is not permitted in project-1. So this application cannot use this repository as a source. If I type Argo CD login localhost --insecure --grpc web Argo CD app list. I want to show you this state by using CLI. And as you can see, the status of this application is unknown and the health is unknown. Let's describe this application. I can type kubectl get app-1, very good. kubectl describe app-1. And as you can see here, this message is here too. It means that this application cannot use this repository as its source. Because in project-1, in its whitelist, this repository is not exists. Let's describe the project another time. kubectl describe app project -1. And as you can see here, this is the only repository that I can use. So let's copy this repository and go to our application manifest. I want to change the repo URL to this repository. And we should modify the path because of that. Oh yeah. Very good. I want the path of our resources. Yeah, this is the path that I want to use. Very good. And let's apply this application one another time. Okay, I type kubectl apply -f app-1 and our application has been configured. So let's type Argo CD app list. And as you can see, the status of my application has been changed from unknown to out of sync. So it means that we are in a good condition. Let's go to dashboard. And as you can see here, our resources will be shown here. And also, my application is out of sync state. I can click on sync and click on synchronize. And as you can see, my application has been synced. Very good. This is about the whitelist. But let's go to the second example. I want to copy from project 1 to project 2. I changed the name of the project to project 2. In this time, I want to put an exclamation mark here. This exclamation mark is at the beginning of the code. Very good. It means that my application cannot use this repository, but it can use all other repositories. So I add the second line, and this star means that this application cannot use this repository, but it can use all other repositories. Let's prove this. Project-2 kubectl apply-f project-2. Very good. kubectl get app proj, and as you can see, we have 3 different projects. Let's copy from app-1 to app-2 and go to app-2.yaml. I want to change the name of the application to app-2. The project is project-2. And in this time, as I configured my project, this repository is in our blacklist. So our application cannot use this repository. So let's save the file, and I type kubectl apply-f app-2.yaml. Very good. When I type Argo CD app list, we have an application here, app-2. It's using project-2, and its status and its health is unknown. Let's describe it. kubectl describe app-2. And as you can see here, it means that we cannot use this repository as the source of our application. And as you can see here, app-2 is in unknown state. And we are the message here too. But if I change the repository, let's change the repository. Let's go to my personal repository again. Applications, Jenkins, Nginx. I copy the path, app-2. I change the repo URL. I change the path for I change the path first, and the repo URL is this. Very good. Let's apply this file again. Apply-f app-2.yaml. Let's go to dashboard, and as you can see, the status of our application has been changed from unknown to out of sync. So there is no problem. When I click on sync and synchronize, our application has been synced successfully. Very good. It was about restricting our application using source repos. And this time, I want to restrict our applications using destinations. Very good. First of all, I want to copy from project 2 to project 3. Very good. Let's open the project 3. First of all, I want to change the name of this project to project 3. Let's modify the source repos. All repositories are allowed to be used. But what about destinations? I want to restrict namespace. We are using only one server, but we can use different namespaces. For example, I want to restrict my application to use dev namespace only. If its target namespace, if its destination namespace is not dev, it can't be deployed. Because of that, I saved this file and I type kubectl apply-f project3.yaml. Very good. I copy from app2 to app3.yaml. I open app3. Let's change the name of this application. And let's change the project name, project-3. Very good. kubectl apply-f app3. If I type kubectl or argo CD app list, as you can see here, the status of project 3 is unknown. Let's go to dashboard. App 3, we have one error. And as you can see here, we cannot use default namespace. And as you can see here, it means don't match any of the following destination in project 3. So this namespace is not in my whitelist. We can use only dev namespace. Because of that, I modify my application. I modify my application and change the destination namespace from default to dev. Before applying the application, I type kubectl create ns dev. We can create namespaces automatically using Argo CD, but I don't want to talk about sync options right now. So for now, we create namespaces manually. Okay, we have now dev namespace. As you can see here, dev namespace exists. So if I configure my application, kubectl apply-f app-3.yaml, this application has been configured, and if I type argo CD app list, as you can see here, the status of our application has been changed to out of sync. Yeah. If I click on sync and click on synchronize, my application has been synced successfully. Very good. It was about restricting our application using destination block. And I used destination namespace. Let's use the exclamation mark. Because of that, I copy from project 3 to project 4.yaml. Let's open the fourth project, project 4. And in this time, I want to use an exclamation mark here. It means that I cannot use a dev namespace, but I can use all other namespaces. Let's prove this. I save the file and I apply this project. Project 4, very good. And let's use another application. I copy from app 3 to app-4.yaml. I change the name from app 3 to app 4. And in this time, I want to use dev namespace. In project 4, dev namespace is in our blacklist. If I type kubectl apply-f app4.yaml, and if I type argo CD app list, as you can see here, the project 4 status is unknown. Why? Because of this. Namespace dev is not allowed to use this namespace. Because of that, let's change the namespace. I want to use, for example, default namespace. And if I apply this application for the second time, and if I type argo CD app list, invalid spec error. Why? Yes, our project 4 is in out of sync status, as if I click on sync and click on synchronize, yes, my application has been synced successfully. So we are allowed to use a namespace except dev namespace. Okay. It was about restricting our application using destination block. The third way to restrict our application is using resources. Because of that, I copy from project 4 to project 5.yaml. Let's open the fifth project. Okay. First of all, I want to change the name of this project. And let's use star here. Okay. This is cluster resource whitelist. I want to add another resource type. I copy these 3 lines, paste it here, and I want to change cluster to namespace. It means namespace scoped resources, and it means cluster scope resources. This is my whitelist. So our application can use these resources because this is our whitelist. But we can use blacklist too for our namespace scope resource and also for our cluster scope resources here. I want to show you something. Let's go to my personal repository. As you can see here, we are using service account, service, ingress, HPA, and deployment. these are our resources that my application uses. Very good. For example, I want to put service account here as my namespace scoped resource whitelist. Okay? Because of that, I type kubectl API resources to find the group and kind of service account, grep-i service account. Its API version is v1 and this is the kind of service account. Very good. So this is my namespace scoped resource. I put the kind here. Okay. Its API version is v1, so it's not necessary to use this. I leave it here. Very good. And we can use all cluster scoped resources. Let's save this file. So, please attention to this note that the only resource, the only whitelist resource is service account. So any other resources can't be deployed. Let's prove that. I copy from app-4 to app-5.yaml. I open app-5. Let's change the name of our application and let's change the name of the project. I want to use project-1. Let's apply this application app-1.yaml. My application created. When I type Argo CD app list, as you can see here, my project-1 is in unknown state. Let's find the reason. I open app-5, I open up conditions, and project-1 doesn't exist. I think I didn't apply project-1-5. kubectl apply -f project-1. Very good. Refresh. Okay. I think this application, but as you can see, my application cannot be deployed in our Kubernetes cluster. As you can see here, my deployment and my service is unknown. As you can see, these two resources are unknown because these two resources are in my blacklist. And I can't use these two types of resources. I can use only service account resources. As you can see, it is out of sync, but these two resources are in unknown state. Sync failed, and as you can see here, it is saying that service is not permitted in project-5, and also deployment is not permitted in project-5. So our application is in synced failed state. Okay. It was about whitelist. So my service account is in my whitelist. So this is the state of our service account resource. Its status is out of sync, but these two other resources are in unknown state. Okay, this is about whitelist. I want to use blacklist this time. Because of that, I copy from project-5 to project-6. Yap. I open the 6th project here. First of all, let's change the name. Very good. And this time, I want to use project-6. I want to use blacklist instead of whitelist. Because of that, I remove white and replace it with black. This is my namespace resource blacklist. In this time, I cannot use service account resource, but I can use all other resources because this resource is in my blacklist. Very good. Let's apply this project first. Apply-f project-6. And let's create another application called app-6. Because of that, I copy from project-5 to project-6. I think it was wrong. I copy from project. So this is wrong. Argo CD project-6. I change white to black. Apply. Unchanged. Very good. And I copy from app-5 to app-6. I open the new application, change the name, and change the project name. Very good. Let's apply this application. kubectl apply-f app-6. Argo CD app list is in out of sync state, but let's sync this application. If I click on sync and synchronize, we have sync failed too. But in this time, we have out of sync status inside service and deployment resources. But our service account is in unknown state because this resource is in our blacklist. Let's see the app-5. Service account is in my whitelist, so its status is out of sync. But in app-6, service account is in unknown state. And these two other resources are in out of sync because they are in our whitelist. Very good. If the API version of our resources is v1 only, it's not necessary to use it. But if it has the API version like apps, v1/apps, we can use apps here. For example, about deployments, when I type kubectl API resources, grep-i deployment, we can see that the API version of deployment resource is apps/v1, and the kind is deployment. So if we want to use this resource, we can use a syntax like this. The kind is deployment, and the group is apps. But if the API version of a resource is v1 only, it's not necessary to use it. Very good. And about cluster resource, for example, namespace, the API version is v1, so it's not necessary to use it. And what about kind? Its kind is namespace, and it's a cluster scope resource. Very good. Okay. I want to talk about project roles. Projects include a feature called roles that enable automated access to a project's applications. These can be used to give a CI pipeline a restricted set of permissions. For example, a CI system may only be able to sync a single app, to read a single app, but not change its source or destination. Okay? Projects can have multiple roles, and those roles can have different access granted to them. These permissions, called policies, and they are stored within the role as a list of policy strings. A role's policy can only grant access to that role and are limited to our application within the roles project. However, the policies have an option for granted wildcard access to any application within a project. So, if we want to grant a system to access to the applications of a project, we can use project roles. And by using roles, we can generate a token to access an external system, to sync an application, to get an application, okay? To create an application, to delete an application. These permissions can be set by using project roles. And we can generate tokens by using project roles. Okay. Let's create a project, but in this time, I want to add roles to this project. Okay. CP from project-6 to project-7. Okay. First of all, let's change the name to project-7. Let's change the black list to white list, and let's remove service account from here. Okay, because for now I want to focus on policies only. Okay, as I said earlier, we have roles and we have a set of policies in that role. Because of that, I define a block called roles. Very good. And within it, I define name. The name of the role, if this is the name of the role. For example, for the first example, I want to grant access to a CI system to get our applications only, to read our applications only. It cannot sync our applications. It cannot create or delete our applications. It wants to read our applications only. Because of that, I want to set its name to read only. Very good. This is the name of the role. The second field that I can use is description. For example, this role can be used for reading applications, for example. The third field that I can use is policies. This is policies. We can use a list of policies inside a role. Okay. Policies. Yes. The syntax of defining a policy is like this. I type P. P means project. Okay. Comma, space, proj. Okay. Column. The name of the project. The name of the project is project-7. I copy the name and paste it here. Very good. Column. The name of the role. The name of the role is read only. So P and proj are by default, but this is the project name and this is the role name. Comma, space. We want to talk about applications. Grant access to get the applications. So we are talking about applications. So I type applications. Very good. The access that I want to grant is get the applications only. Because of that, I use get here. We can use sync, we can use create, delete. These are the actions that we can use. But for now, I want to use get only. Comma, space. Here, I want to put the name of the project. Project-7 / Here we can define the name of the application. If we want to grant reading all applications, I can use star. But we can use a specific application here or use all applications by using this star symbol. Comma, / comma, space, and I type allow. It means that I want to grant getting all applications of project-7. Okay? Granting the get action. This action is get. Reading applications. Reading all applications of project-7. Very good. Let's save this file and let's apply it. kubectl-f project-7. This project has been created. Let's create a new application. Because of that, I copy from app-6 to app-7.yaml. app-7 and project-7. We want to focus on our application. We want to focus on generating token from project and from the role. If I apply this application, there is no restrictions because in our project-7, we have no restrictions here because we want to focus on roles only. Very good. To generate a token from the role of this project, we should type this: Argo CD proj role create token, the project name project-7, and the role name read only. Argo CD proj role create token from project-7, this is the project name, and read only, this is the role name. I enter. As you can see, we have an output. I want to use this token. This is the generated token. I copy the token. Okay. Very good. First of all, I want to get the list of our applications using the admin user, Argo CD app list. As you can see, I can list all applications by using admin user. But in this time, I want to use the generated token for listing our applications. Because of that, I type Argo CD app list, but in this time I want to use dash auth token and paste the generated token. And as you can see here, we can list the applications of project-7. The project-7 has no applications. To create an application, I type kubectl apply -f app-7. If we enter this again, we have a new application here, app-7. This is the only application of project-7. Because of this, we can use only app-7. But if I type Argo CD app list by using admin, we can see all applications from all projects. But with this token, I can access to project-7 applications only. Okay? Can I sync my application by using this generated token? Let's try this. If I type Argo CD, first of all, I want to sync my application using CLI with admin user. And the next time I want to sync my application using the generated token. Okay? Because of that, I want to use Argo CD app sync. Which app? App-7. Very good. And as you can see here, our application has been synced. Deployment is not permitted in project-7. Why? We have no restrictions here. I add the star symbol. Let's apply the project again. And let's go to dashboard app-7. Let's sync it again. And yes, it's working well. The problem was from this star. I forgot to use the star. It was a blank. Okay. So I synced my application using admin user successfully. Let's create another applications. cp app-7 to app-8.yaml and app-9.yaml. app-8, okay, and app-9. Both of them are using project-7 as their project. Okay, first of all, let's apply project-8, app-8, and app-9. I want to sync the first application using admin by using CLI, Argo CD, app sync app-8. And as you can see here, we synced our application successfully. And if I type Argo CD app list, my application is out of sync. And when I sync my application, its status will be changed from out of sync to synced. Okay, pretty good. But in this time, I want to sync my application using the generated token. This token. First of all, let's list the application of project-7 using generated token, Argo CD app list --auth-token. This token, very good. We have 3 different applications in project-7. But in this time, I want to sync app-9 using the generated token. We have a policy in project-7, and it's saying that we can only get the apps. We cannot sync the applications. So we are not allowed to sync my application in project-7 using the generated token. If I enter, we have an output here, and the message is here: permission denied. Sync. As you can see, we have a result called permission denied. So we cannot sync my application using this generated token. But in this time, I want to add another role to my project. Okay, project-7. I want to add another policy. I want to add another policy to my existing role. Because of that, I copy this line, and I change the name of this role to read-in-sync, read-sync. Because of that, I change read-only to read-sync. Here, read-sync. We have a get action, and also I want to use sync action. Sync all applications of project-7. Very good. Let's save this while. We should apply this project another time. Apply project-7. And the project has been configured. And now we have to generate a new token based on the new role and the new policy. To do this, I type Argo CD proj role create dash token. The project name is project-7 and the role name is read-sync. I copy the generated token. First of all, I want to list the applications using the new generated token. Because of that, I type Argo CD app list --auth token, and using the new generated token, and as you can see, we can list all the applications of project-7. But in this time, can I sync the applications here using the new generated token? Let's try this. I type Argo CD app sync, for example, app-9, using the new generated token --auth token, this token. And now if I enter, you can see that I successfully synced my application using the generated token. Why? Because I add a new policy to my new role to grant access to sync my applications of project-7. Okay. It was about project roles and policies and generating tokens based on existing roles and policies. In the last section of this session, I want to talk about creating Argo CD projects using Terraform. We defined projects using manifests. We defined policies and roles, and also we generated tokens using Argo CD CLI. But in this time, I want to do all of these tasks using Terraform. The provider that I want to use is this, as you can see. And in the left, we have multiple resources. I want to use Argo CD project resource for this session. And in this section, we have example usage. It defines how can we work with Argo CD project resource in Terraform. Okay. We have multiple blocks in this example. We have 3 different blocks. For example, I want to restrict my application to be deployed in default namespace or in foo namespace or in bar namespace. Because of that, I have to define 3 different blocks. For example, I want to add a namespace called prod. Because of that, I have to define another block with prod namespace. And we have another types of resources here. For example, cluster resource, namespace resource, and also we have roles here. So we have multiple blocks, and if I want to add another restriction, we have to define another block. So this is a big problem because we have a file with a large number of lines. To reduce the number of blocks in Terraform, we can use dynamic blocks. The dynamic block helps us to reduce the number of lines in our main.tf, in our Terraform file. Very good. I wrote the terraform files that we want to use, and I pushed all of these files in our GitHub repository, and you can see all of these codes. In this file, in main.tf, we have multiple dynamic blocks. One of them is destination, the another is cluster resource, namespace resource, and role. We have multiple dynamic blocks. Okay, I want to show you something. If I open terraform.tf vars, in this file, we have multiple key value pairs. For example, I have a variable called destinations, as you can see. And in this variable, we have two different maps. The first map is destination 1, and the second map is destination 2. Because of that, we have a variable consists of two different maps. If I add or if I remove a map from this variable, the number of blocks in our dynamic block will be changed. For example, we have a dynamic block called namespace resource whitelist. We have a variable in terraform.tf vars called namespace resource whitelist here. As you can see, the type of this variable is map object. We have in variables.tf file. The type is map object. If I open terraform.tf vars, here we have a variable called namespace resource whitelist, and in this variable we have two different maps, resource 1 and resource 2. These are the maps of this variable. The number of maps is 2. So if I go to main.tf, the number of blocks in this dynamic block will be 2. If I remove a block, if I remove a map from this variable, for example, I remove resource 2, the number of blocks in its dynamic block will be changed to 1. Or if I add another map, the number of blocks in its dynamic block will be changed to 3. This is the magic of dynamic block. It helps us a lot to have a file with the minimum numbers of lines. Very good. Let's apply this terraform file. Okay, first of all, I want to use terraform fmt to format my files here. Okay. Terraform init reusing, because in the previous session I used this file, I used this command, so it's not necessary to use it again because it downloaded the necessary plugins. Very good. Another command that I want to use is terraform validate, and it returns an output. It returns a result. It is saying that configuration is valid, so we have no syntax error in our terraform files. I type terraform plan, and as you can see, two different resources will be added, and one of them is Argo CD project and one of them is Argo CD project token, because we have defined policies and roles in our project. So we want to generate token based on the role that we have in our terraform file. Very good. Let's type terraform apply. Yes. And as you can see here, it returns a result called apply complete resources 2 added. 2 resources added to our Argo CD. If I open the dashboard here, we have no applications yet. But if I type kubectl get app proj, we have a new project called terraform-project. Let's open the manifest of this project. kubectl edit terraform project. Terraform project app proj. App proj, yes. As you can see, in destinations block, we have prod namespace and we have dev namespace. We restrict in namespace resource whitelist section on apps deployment and also service. So we can't use service and deployment resources for our application. And very good, and this is the role section. And in sourceRepos section, we can use all the repositories. So we have no restriction on repository level. Very good. And this is the project that we created. And if we create an application using manifest or using terraform, we can use this terraform project, and the result is the same that we did in manifest file. Very good. If I open terraform.tf_state, you can see the generated token. This is the generated token by Terraform, and we can use this token to for our CI systems, for example. Very good. Yeah, that's enough for this session. This session was about Argo CD projects. Very good. I will see you soon.